Module 3, Part 2, Character Counts. I'm your instructor, Angelique Feaster-Evans. In this module, you will learn the different communication styles, understand the role of listening in the communication process, the use of appropriate professional language, and manners in the workplace. What is communication? Communication is the act of transferring information from one place to another. There are 4 primary communication styles: passive communication, aggressive communication, passive-aggressive communication, and assertive communication. And today we're going to explore the definitions and examples of each of these communication styles. Passive communication is a form of communication in which the person does not share his or her wants, needs, desires, or opinions. Examples of passive communication can be seen in their style of communicating with others. For instance, they tend to be indirect in their communication, always agreeing with other people. They don't speak up to give their voice, and they're hesitant. Nonverbal cues to remember when you are identifying or interacting with passive communication styles from other people includes fidgeting, nodding your head often, having smiles and nods in agreement, a slumped posture, low volume, tend to be fast when anxious and slow in their delivery of nonverbal cues when they are doubtful. Verbal cues for passive styles of communication include, "You should do it." "Well, you have more experience than I do." "I can't." "Well, this is probably wrong, but I'll try." Or have a very monotone voice with low energy behind their voices. Now, the next style of communication is aggressive communication. And aggressive communication is a form of communication in which a person shares his or her wants, needs, desires, or opinions at the expense of someone else's wants, needs, desires, or opinions. The communication style for aggressive communication, some of the things to look for include being closed-minded, having very poor listening skills, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in this module, having difficulty to seeing other person's point of views, interrupting people often, and sometimes wanting to take control and monopolize the conversation. Some nonverbal cues for aggressive communication includes pointing your finger and frowning a lot, or having stares when you're looking at someone, just staring them down, being critical of other people, being loud in your delivery, yelling and having that tone of voice, and also being very fast and clipped with their speech. You're just very direct, and you're really not being considerate of how your words are coming across to other people. Verbal cues include, "You must," "You should," "You ought to do this my way." Don't ask why, just do it. And also, aggressive people who use aggressive communication styles can tend to be offensive or maybe even have a degree of verbal abuse when they are communicating with other people. Passive-aggressive communication. Passive-aggressive communication is a form of communication in which a person tends to state his or her negative feelings in an indirect, hostile, and dishonest way towards others. With passive-aggressive communication, oftentimes you're going to see a crossover with the communication styles that I just shared about passive styles of communication and aggressive styles of communication. So you may see a hybrid, some overlap in the way they have their delivery of their nonverbal cues as well as their verbal cues when communicating with other people. Passive aggressive communication is sometimes when people are holding in their feelings, their true feelings about something. It's almost like they bottle up their opinions, their feelings. There's a level of anger that's kind of going underneath the surface. On the outside, passive aggressive communication styles can look as if everything is okay. But if you were just to kind of peel back the layers, you would see that there's a level of dissent. There may be a level of dishonesty because their communication style is not being truthful and forthright. The next type of communication style is assertive communication. Assertive communication is a form of communication in which a person is straightforward, openly and honestly expressing his or her needs, desires, thoughts, and feelings while considering the needs of others. Assertive communication styles include being a very effective and active listener. It includes having limitations and stating your expectations when communicating with others. Also, being able to state observations without making any judgments or having any labels towards a person or even a particular experience or event they're going through. The communication style for assertive communicators include being able to express yourself directly, honestly, and as soon as possible about your feelings and your wants, while also, and this is very important, checking on the feelings of others. Nonverbal cues include being open, having natural gestures, being attentive, and having interested facial expression. So when other people are communicating with you, assertive communication styles zone in and they show that they are attentive and they are fully present in the communication. Also, there is direct eye contact. There's a great deal of positive posture. You are not slumped over, you're standing erect and tall and your shoulders are back and you're very confident in your position or in what you're expressing to other people. Also, your vocal tone and the volume in which you talk seems to be very appropriate and very expressive, and you vary the rate of speech when you're talking. So when you put these four styles together, we have passive communication, aggressive communication, passive aggressive communication, and assertive communication. Ideally, we should work to have assertive communication. And that's important because we're able to state our opinions, express ourselves openly and honestly, but also being considerate and mindful and also respectful of the opinions of others.